Brain development. How does it affect early learning? Recent discoveries in neuroscience give us a new understanding of how the brain develops. This information impacts the way we should view language and literacy acquisition. The brain is built over time. Early experiences directly affect how the brain is wired. Babies are born with 100 billion brain cells. Some are connected at birth, but most are not. Connections that are used repeatedly are formed and reinforced. Those that are not are eliminated. By the time a child is 3, most of the basic circuitry of the brain is already formed. How the brain develops depends on our genes and the experiences we have. Attachment, activity, and stimulation determine the architecture of the brain. This determines whether a child will have a strong or weak foundation for future learning, behavior, and health. Warm, responsive caregiving is essential to healthy brain development. Brain architecture and developing skills are both built from the bottom up. Simple circuits provide scaffolding for more advanced circuits. There are many unavoidable principles at work to organize the brain. The brains of infants and young children are much more vulnerable than the adult brain. Early childhood is the most important phase for overall development throughout the lifespan. There are types of neglect that affect the developing brain, including extreme multisensory neglect, which results in obvious changes in neurobiology and function of the brain, and sociocultural changes in how we choose to live. This has an almost invisible yet toxic impact on the developing child. Landmark studies have shown that children who were raised in neglectful settings through age 6 had the average IQ of 50 at age 16. Children adopted from the same setting prior to age 2 had the average IQ of 100. According to the World Health Organization, every year more than 200 million children under 5 fail to meet their full cognitive and social potential. Rapid brain growth takes place during early childhood. It is especially important to consider the complex social and educational tasks that are expected in later years. Brain scans can be utilized to show what areas of the brain are used to carry out various functions. However, little is known about these brain processes and how they actually work. We do know that if connections are not stimulated by repeated experiences, they will fade away. The brain has a use it or lose it policy. In addition, little is known about how the brain stores the 3 banks of data required for processing, including processing written words, word sounds, and meaning of words. Consider the neurocognitive functions associated with their ability to write: memory, attention, sequential processing, higher order cognition, language, and visual spatial function. To learn to read, you must have good working memory, the ability to distinguish speech sounds, and make sight to sound to meaning connections. These are complex tasks. Critical periods or windows for learning have been identified for language acquisition. Skills can still be learned after these periods have passed, but with greater time and effort. One of the first windows of opportunity for language comes early in life. As infants hear patterns of sound in their native language, a different cluster of neurons in the auditory complex of the brain, cortex of the brain, responds to each sound. By 6 months of age, infants will have recognized many sounds. Windows of opportunity for language development occur throughout life. The window for syntax or grammar is open during the preschool years and may close as early as 5 or 6 years. The window for learning new words never closes. In addition to learning the sounds of speech, during the first 6 months, a child's brain begins to learn what mouth movements go with what sounds. It is important to have face-to-face conversations with babies. The importance of early language development cannot be stressed enough. Future academic success depends on it. Speech and language impairment has a significant impact on future literacy and writing skills. Phonological processing and phonological learning may be at risk in the language-impaired child. This will impact reading and writing skills. Experts in the field of child development recommend routine assessments of language and communication skills beginning with infancy. The rationale is that intervention during infancy and the preschool years can have a significant impact on child outcomes. Ultimately, educating parents to recognize their child's potential problems and how to seek help for their child is paramount in the effort to support literacy success.